See, that's the kind of, gosh, honestly, any women out there listening today will be like, damn, all the good ones get taken. Because he sounds a smasher. I mean, I know he's a smasher. I've met him. But conversely, yes, it's your body. It's your baby. But what are you thinking now? Because you're, okay, I've got the support of my partner. I am going to have a Down syndrome baby. But now I know...
Baby with Down syndrome.
Oh, sorry, a baby with Down syndrome. What am I going to do? Because it's your body, as it's been rightly pointed out. Mm-hmm. Possibilities are possibilities. Mm-hmm. But now it's a fact. What went through your mind?
Fear. I was terrified. I was confused. I was angry. I was upset.
Can we just
all
break
of those
things? So fear. What were you scared of?
I was terrified of the unknown. I had absolutely no idea what it would be like to have a child with Down syndrome. I didn't, like I said before, I had no personal experience in my life, really. My friend Beverly would disagree with that because I had met her and her son quite a few years earlier, who has Down syndrome, who is in his late teens now. And she is a family friend. And, but those things don't come into your mind. I couldn't think of anybody in my sort of circle where I could turn and say, what do I do here? Or, because I think I'm the sort of person where I'm very strong-willed. I'm very, focused person. I know my own mind. I'm good at making decisions. But when it's a big thing, I don't necessarily look for people's opinions, but I look for some guidance. I look for support, and I look for people to help me to make my own decision, really, rather than, going with somebody else's opinion. So I'd normally would, reach out to friends and family and that kind of thing, but I didn't. I did that, but everybody was a bit like, I don't know what to say. I literally don't know what to say to you, Laura. Like, this is, a massive thing. And, nobody ever, it's funny because lots of people talk about people saying, I'm really sorry. Like, the guy that delivered the news from the RVI saying, I'm very sorry to tell you. Nobody actually in my friends and family network did that. And I don't think they did that consciously. I don't think they thought we mustn't say, because it is a thing in the sort of the support networks around Down syndrome that, we try and avoid that word sorry. We try and stop people saying it. But I didn't need to do that because nobody really said it. They just were all like, this is massive and this is really up to you and John, and you and John need to sit down and talk about it and decide for yourselves what is right for you. That's why there is this choice, and that's why there's this big debate in America, isn't there? Because, if that choice is taken away from you, how hard is that? It's hard to make the choice, but at least we have the opportunity to make the choice. And, we did need, that's what everybody told us to do, and that's what we did. We basically just sat down and just talked and talked and talked. The worst thing you do in that situation is Google baby.
Indeed. Before we go to Googling about it, you said you were terrified, fear, but you also said you were angry. Why were you angry?
Why me? It's that simple reaction to anything that is difficult in your life, I think, isn't it? We all question that. Why me? When you're having to get yourself through something really tough or make a really difficult decision. Why am I having to do this? Why me? And I was angry because I've gone through a lot personally prior to this. My dad was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's, age 55, as you know, Craig.
I do indeed, yes.
Tony, bless him. And, I'd struggled a lot with that and had a lot of heartache and a lot of difficult times. And at this point, Dad had already been in a home for about 18 months, coming up 2 years. And, so I wasn't so directly affected by my dad having Alzheimer's on a day-to-day basis at this point, but I had lived through a lot of, difficult times. So I think the anger came from that, I've already had all this to deal with at quite a young age. you know, how old was I when Dad was diagnosed? Like, I was 40, I was 30 when Dad was diagnosed. I was quite young, you know, and it was a big thing to deal with. And I think I was angry that this was being piled on top of me as well as everything I'd already been through. And I think that's where the anger came from, because I already had a lot of anger about Dad's illness anyway.
Right.
You know, I had a lot of anger about what I'd had to deal with up to that point, that, you know, nobody, those cards are just played out for you. Nobody's put that on me. It's just life's dealt me those cards. And I was a bit angry already about that. So I did feel angry that I was, you know, facing even more
difficult challenges.
Potentially, yeah.
So you talked a lot. You did a fair bit of Googling, looking up nightmares. It's a bit like when they say, you don't look at your illness.
Yeah.
Because,
really, it's the same thing, really. It just brings all of this sort of, you know, horrible medical stuff up that...
And I remember years ago joining a book club, and one of the things I bought was a medical dictionary. And by the end of reading just a couple of pages, I'd been dead for 10 years.